Welcome back to Straight Facts on Wednesday. I'm joined by Judge Mo and Hussam. We've got a brilliant show lined up for you today, previewing the Champions League games tonight. Pivotal for Manchester City and PSG. An important win needed for Arsenal as well, as only 1 point separates second or third in the third in the league, right down to like 13th. We're also looking at some of the transfer stories with Arsenal in conversations with Leipzig for Benjamin Šeško. 5 Premier League teams chasing Cunha, with Arsenal reportedly leading the race, but Forest about to submit a club record bid for the player. We're looking at Man United and the offer of Osimhen in the deal for Garnacho. Should they be looking to get that done? All that plus some accusations leveled at Manchester City from a La Liga club over a youth player that we want to delve into. I'm joined, as you can see, by the brilliant Judge Mo and Hussam. How are you both, gentlemen?
This is a beautiful day. You get me? Big up to all of you guys. Make sure you guys are liking. Make sure you guys are subscribing. There's a lot for us to unpack. I actually look forward to today's show. There's a lot for us to talk about. I'm excited. Big up to all of you guys, man. Big up.
Everything is great, bro. Everything is good. Alhamdulillah. Can't complain. Life is good. We're all right. We'll play tonight in the Champions League. Arsenal play. It's good. Omar Marmoush in the Premier League. So fantastic news for me as an Egyptian. I got Salah. And it's good. I have 2 Egyptians going head to head for the Premier League next season.
Maybe not. Looks like Mo Salah's going Saudi, but we'll see. We'll see what FSG pull out the bag. We'll see what they pull out.
Wow, we were starting early.
I'm just saying. Let's just go with the rumors. You know. Unless you've got some in the know information for us, Sam, that we don't know about.
No, I don't know anything right now.
Loads also I mentioned as well. We're going to look at Chelsea looking to hijack the Douglas Luiz deal as well. So we'll be going through the latest stories and rumors, but more importantly than what the journalists tell us, what the Mo think, what does Hussam think, what do you, the viewers, think about these stories as well. We've got a poll running as well. Who will sign Cunha this window? Newcastle, United, Forest, or Arsenal? Can only have 4 options. I would have put Chelsea in there, but they're currently pursuing Douglas Luiz with a bit and Garnacho with a bit more viv. So I left them out, not to be disrespectful. And we're going to start with transfer news today before we get onto the Champions League. And I wanted to start actually with Chelsea. I wanted to get your opinions, gentlemen. First of all, they're looking to maybe hijack the Douglas Luiz deal. Juve have said up to both City and Chelsea right now, we're not going to entertain a loan deal. Essentially, if you want him, you're going to have to buy him. But Chelsea inquiring, Chelsea looking to try and get involved in this deal. Is Douglas Luiz the answer for Chelsea? I'll go to Hassan first on that.
No, Douglas Luiz is not the answer for Chelsea because they already have like a version of Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz is not the answer to Chelsea or to Liverpool because I know there's certain Liverpool fans who want him as well. I would take him at my club, of course, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. But he is not the answer, because I think they have a similar profile in Enzo Fernandez, who's actually going through a really good time right now. I know someone will come tell me depth, but at the end of the day, you can only put 11 players on the pitch at some point in time, so you can't just put like 100 people on the pitch. And I think they have someone very similar to him. Caicedo's a bit different. I'll be honest with you, I don't really think Chelsea need a midfielder like that to begin with. I think they need a goal-scoring winger. But when it comes to Douglas Luiz, I think he would be a fantastic addition to any team. I mean, he showed his quality last season with Aston Villa, played really well. I think there are teams at the top who need him a lot more. Like obviously Man United would need them, Liverpool would need them, Spurs would need them. I think these 3 clubs probably need them the most. City, of course, in their current situation, need Douglas Luiz. I wouldn't really say Chelsea need Douglas Luiz right now. They don't. But when it comes to the transfer, I do think he will eventually end up at Man City because it just makes sense. The reason why I say he will end up at Man City and it makes sense is the following. Look, Manchester City have this injury situation happening in their midfield right now. So they're going to have that problem till the end of the season. And the City deal, if I'm not mistaken, is a loan. It's a loan deal. So it's not even like a permanent buy thing. It's a loan till the end of the season. I don't know if it's with an obligation to buy or not. But regardless, the loan probably makes a bit more sense. So City can okay, do we need him? Do we not need him? Is he good enough? Is he not good enough? Does he fit what we're doing? Even when Rodri's back. Because remember, at the end of the day, the Ballon d'Or winner will come back at some point in time. And if he does come back, then you're going to have to build a team with the acceptance of knowing that Rodri starts in this team. So what you can't do is just build while Rodri's not here without thinking that Rodri's going to come back, because Rodri's that guy. Like he won the Ballon d'Or. Like he's just not a random average player, which is why I think Douglas Luiz should move to Man City. I just don't think the move to Chelsea makes sense at all. I mean, you look at the current state of the Chelsea team. They've got Enzo, they've got Lavia, they've got Caicedo, they got Palmer who plays the 10, they get Nkunku who plays the 10, they got Felix who plays the 10. I know someone will come tell me depth and his quality and all this. Yes, I agree. It's depth and quality, and I agree with you completely. But it's not what Chelsea need right now. That's my honest opinion on Douglas Luiz. Because I think they have a version of him in Enzo. You know, they're very similar players in my opinion.
They're different. But Chelsea, this is directed to the owners. If Chelsea go for Douglas Luiz and Garnacho, it's an opportunistic sign. Because Douglas Luiz is not favored by Juventus at the current moment. It's the owners, again, looking for an opportunistic signing more than looking at the football. Chelsea need a centre-back. Chelsea need a striker. They don't need a winger, and they don't need a central midfielder. And the current moment, the owners are looking for a central midfielder in Douglas Luiz and a winger. So they don't need that. So that shows, again, that these guys care more about balancing the books than the team. And that's what Chelsea fans need to focus on. You need to focus on what you need, not what you want, not how you balance the books, to be honest with you. So I don't know why Chelsea are that team that are looking for Douglas Luiz. Isak. They see other clubs going for him, and they're like, yeah, let me do the same. Let me just be linked to him. Let me try to see if we can get this guy. This is the owners thing and the sporting directors and all these people. But listen, the question is, how do Chelsea get the money to sign these guys? That's the question. Why Chelsea are allowed to spend that much money and Liverpool don't and Arsenal don't? So Liverpool, no, the owners are cheap, right? But how are Arsenal not allowed to spend and Chelsea are going to go and spend money on Douglas Luiz or Garnacho or whatever? Again, it's the owners finding loopholes, acting like there is no PSR, but they can balance the books.
Sell a hotel and shit.
Sell a hotel. Like, I don't understand why Douglas Luiz is
yeah, maybe not the move, but in terms of Chelsea spending, the reason the money's there is because what they have been very good at doing is selling academy players and selling in. And it isn't just academy players that make you pure profit. The pure profit conversation is just this. If Man United sell Maguire for £30 million today, that's £30 million pure profit. Because net spend isn't real. And no club sits there and says, well, we spent 85. The only way we make a profit is by selling for 86 or more. The pure profit is looking at the trading accounts that year. Because essentially the trading accounts that year are what feed into FFP and what feeds into PSR. And they take the last 3 years and it's a running cycle. So for instance, Man United have paid off the whole of Maguire's transfer fee now to Leicester. So whatever we sell him for, on the trading account, it's pure profit because we're no longer paying out any transfer fee for him. But what Chelsea have been brilliant at doing is selling their young players for good amounts of money. And I would say this about Arsenal. And look, Liverpool have sold some good in the past, you know, good money for Jordan Ibe, good money for Brewster, but not as regularly as you've seen Chelsea and Man City do it. They have sold for a long time players. I mean, the fact that Trafford left City for about £25 million as an untried, untested goalkeeper is testament to how good they are at selling. And that's what a lot of other clubs have got to do more of. But yeah, I'm a bit confused by Chelsea looking at him. The same as I'm a little bit confused that they were looking at Mainu. Not that I don't think Mainu's brilliant. You sit there and think with the midfield you've got, sure, and this is a question to Chelsea fans. Surely, with the way you guys have bigged up that midfield three, surely you don't need Douglas Luiz. Surely you don't need Mainu, but the reports are true. The reports are credible that Chelsea are pushing. They're looking to find a new midfielder. Maybe with the ongoing fitness issues with Lavia is a concern, but neither player really play Lavia's out-and-out role. If we're being honest, it's more Caicedo's cemented. It's more Enzo Fernandez. So if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be saying, what is it my owners and my club and my manager don't see in Enzo Fernandez that we all do as fans? That would be my question. The other transfer they're linked to, boys, and it hasn't gone away, and Chelsea fans have hoped that it would, but that's Alejandro Garnacho. Does that make, Mo, any sense to you as a deal for Chelsea at 50 to 60 million pounds that's being quoted?
Absolutely not. These guys are idiots. If they go and sign Garnacho, this is something that Nobody sees. Even Man United fans don't see. Even the more optimistic Man United fans don't see. Why do you want Garnacho? What does Garnacho offer you? Also, if you're going to spend that much money, and you better spend it on a starter, but you have Neto, you have Madueke, you have Jadon Sancho, and what is Garnacho going to offer Chelsea for 50, 60 million? You can go and sign a Semenyo. If you're going to spend that much money, like, you need a starter, you need an upgrade over what you have, not sign someone like him, unless, again, it's an opportunistic signing, and they believe, Chelsea owners, that they're going to get a profit on Sancho within 6 months or a year or 2 years. But I don't see, the thing about Garnacho is that I don't see him improving to the point that he's going to be 70, 80 million pound player at all in his career, in his life. This guy will never be that guy. Like, if Julian Alvarez is sold for 90 million or 85 million pounds, Garnacho is at best a 35 million pound player, at best. And if Man United rejected a bid that is worth 50 million euros based on the news this morning, that means Chelsea, because they are an English club, will have to even pay more than what Napoli offer, because Man United will think, like, we better sell that guy outside of England so he won't compete against us. So Chelsea will have to beat that bid. I don't understand why Chelsea, it doesn't make any sense why the owners are not looking to the likes of Osimhen, Gyokeres, or Sesko even, instead of Alejandro Garnacho. No, the thing about it is the only transfer in the history that maybe Mason Mount was some, but even some people wanted Mason Mount. With the club that is linked to the player, to want the player at all, the club that wants to sell, the majority of them are dancing and are like, yeah, we want to make it happen, right? And the owners are like, no,
this is the craziest shit ever. I cannot believe this, honestly. Why? Why?
Do you believe it's
Listen, the Chelsea
like
test. Let me tell you something. Chelsea test. You're doing the same thing that the Arsenal fans did with Havertz and the Man United fans did with Mount. Use your eyes. Forget age. Okay? Because Jordan Ibe was also 20 or 21 when we sold him to Bournemouth for 20 million. Brewster was also 20 when we sold him 25 million to Sheffield. Solanke only came good 6 years later. We sold him for 30 million at the time. So please allow this nonsense of talking about the guy's age. So just because someone's young, it means what? You should take him just because he's young? What's this whole new obsession from football fans of just looking at someone's age like so young centric? Like, what happened to actually wanting someone who's actually good? You know, like someone who's actually talented, someone who can actually take it to the next level. And when it comes to Garnacho, he just hasn't been that guy. I was someone who was actually, like, when I did the show with Staffy, actually defended Garnacho. I said, Garnacho, there's a player there, he can finish, blah, blah, blah. But after a year and a half almost of consistent bad performances, there's no one that can claim that now. So you're buying off of the concept and the idea that at Chelsea Football Club, you're going to fix him and he's going to start scoring goals. That's basically what you're buying off of. So you're taking on the mantle of fixing Garnacho. Are you going to fix him? That's the $1 million question.
How much or some do you think Sancho will be at the end of the season? Let's imagine Chelsea finishing the Champions League. We look at Sancho's output this season, right? He's playing better than what he was at Man United. You have to admit that. How much do you think Sancho is worth now? 30 million, 40 million max, something like that. Max, right? So they made some money on him, right? I think Chelsea looking at Garnacho that same. Like, oh, we'll buy this guy and then we'll sell him for profit within a year, like they did with Vega. Why you can't? You don't believe Garnacho.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying you can't.
Okay. So you don't think? So I don't know what Chelsea see in Garnacho, to be honest. And I don't think I actually don't think Garnacho is a good player. I don't know. You're a Man United fan, Terry. I know you don't like to give firm opinions on players before giving them the chance and stuff like this because he's young. Do you believe Garnacho's... Let me ask a straight question, Terry. Do you believe Garnacho is a Premier League winning level player at any point?
Terry likes Garnacho, so good luck, mate.
It's not that deep.
No, it isn't, but I want to word
He's thinking how to answer this. Watch.
It's how to word it. Robert, I know the answer in my head. I want to word it correctly. I think Garnacho could be part of a squad that wins the Premier League. I am not convinced anymore that he will be in the starting 11 to make that happen. Maybe 6 months ago, maybe a bit longer, I was really talking him up. You know, I'm just at a point where I think now, would Amorim, would Wilcock, Would I know that Man United need to sell to make some money to buy people. I'm very aware that we're in financial difficulties. We're not broke. I'm glad we're saying we're broke, but we need to sell. But I also think that if we saw that if there was a player that Amorim, that Wilcock, that Barada looked at and said, this kid is going to be creme de la creme, tip-top special, I don't think they'd sell him. And I'll give you an example. Yes, Ahmad isn't from the academy, but what we paid for him is paid off. We could sell him for pure profit as well now. We don't owe any money to Atalanta for him. But the first thing Ineos did, new deal, increased his salary. When it comes to Garnacho, he was dropped from the first team by the manager. The first thing him and his agency went and did is they went, well, let's start looking for a new club then. That, for me, isn't the right attitude that I want to see anyway. I think he's a good player. I think he could go on to have a very good career. But do I look at him as a Premier League player that could lead Man United to winning a Premier League title? I'm not convinced anymore. And I'm speaking about that from an objective point of view. I like him. But what I try to do as often as I can is think outside the box. And I'm going to apply the same logic to him as I would do to what I did to Wilfried Zaha for years, what I've done to others. Who's interested in buying him? Well, Chelsea and Napoli are. They're pretty good teams as an example. But also, why is my club so willing to let him go? Some believe it's because we're broke and the club just want to make money off the back of him. I'll believe that if we sell him for 60 million and buy nobody, if we just keep that money, then I'll go, shit. I don't think we are. I think the second that we get a deal agreed for Garnacho, just like with Anthony's agreement to leave, you'll start to see talk of somebody else coming in. So yeah, I'm not pressed by it. It's a little sad that it isn't going to work out, and I really would have liked it to, but I am honestly not sitting there panicking. I'm not worried. I saw a Sky Sports presenter yesterday say, we're going to end up breaking the 80-odd year record of not having any academy players within our squad. If Garnacho and Rashford go, it's going to come to an abrupt end. Well, look, Mainu's still there and Collie is still there. We had Godwill on the bench the other day as an example. I think some Man United fans are doing far too much. They're putting absolutely no faith in this rebuild, this complete club rebuild. They're putting no faith in Amorim. They're putting no faith in the recruitment team, no faith in Wilcock. People, by the way, who they all had their wang out for in the summer. Suddenly now they're making the footballing decisions. And because it doesn't sit with them subjectively, because it doesn't sit right with them, but that's not what I would do. Yeah, but there's a reason you're a YouTuber. There's a reason you're a baker who sits on Twitter talking about football, as opposed to being a sporting director at a football club. Now, I'm not suggesting they can't make mistakes. We've called out the Dan Ashworth one in the summer. But I am just at a point where I am not going to overanalyze every loss or defeat or victory. I am not going to overanalyze every transfer, every deal, every little bit of, Amorim smashed the TV. Is that good? Is it bad? Is it indifferent? We can have a conversation, but I'm not going to change my overarching views that it's going to take 3 to 4 years to fix us. There was always, and you boys hopefully will vouch for me on this, I always said there was going to be some casualties from our squad that maybe we weren't expecting. A player that we think is going to kill it with a good structure and a really good coach. Some of them are going to be moved on. There'll be others that we think they're going to be gone well quick, like a Maguire who suddenly might have a little resurgence for a period of time. This is natural and normal. And every other club who has had a seismic change like United are going through, Liverpool in 2010 when FSG came in and started changing things as an example, City, Arsenal 5 years ago when they started theirs, there is peaks and there is troughs, there is ups and downs. And I'm a little sad to see Garnacho potentially leave. But the idea that Man United is going to end Man United would have come to an end if we carried on behaving as we did in the last 11 years under the Glazers. And we're changing that. So I'm going to at least give it some time before I start having a meltdown. I really am going to give it a bit of time.
Why would you have a meltdown over Garnacho? I don't. Is anybody having a meltdown?
Why would anyone have a meltdown, though?
I don't understand. Hold on. Can you clarify?
All over social media, all I am seeing is the level of meltdown from Man United fans. Some Man United fans is the club's coming to an end. Selling Garnacho is the worst thing that we've ever done. How are we going to progress and go forward if we're selling our young players? I'll tell you how. where I will agree with you is we don't use that money to buy other players, and if those new recruits aren't as good in the medium to long term. And this is what's crazy. One of the stories about Garnacho leaving today, and we'll see if it comes to fruition, okay? I don't like to disregard things straight away, but there's talk that we may be offered Osimhen as part of the deal. Now, for me, right, if Garnacho leaves and we get, say, £10 million and we get Osimhen, I can't look at that and say, oh, Man United are dead. It doesn't make me feel that way. I can't lie about it.
But why are people upset about this? This reminds me of people who act like we're upset if we'd sell Darwin Núñez. Like, I just don't get it. Like, why are we upset here? Like, why is people are just upset for the sake of it? Listen, if a player works out at another club, it doesn't matter. He didn't work out at yours. This is something that Lewis kept saying when Havertz like had that run at Arsenal. He was like, it doesn't matter if he's scoring goals for Arsenal because he never scored it for us. That's the thing that matters. So when it comes to Garnacho, as a United fan, you can't be upset if he goes to Napoli and scores like 20 goals or whatever, because he never did it for you. He never scored for your club at that level, at that high of a level. When it comes to Garnacho, listen, you have way too many experimental players right now at Man United. You don't have time for this shit. Amarim said it's the worst Man United ever, and he included himself, and rightfully so, because of the levels that they're performing at. And by the way, Garnacho came on in the last game against Brighton and did worse than any forward did on the football pitch. He was poor little kids in Old Trafford were getting just hit by his shots. Every single time he shot a shot, it landed on someone's face. You get me? So like, this is the thing when it comes to Garnacho. At some point in time, you have to just acknowledge that improvement and potential and all this. You have to show it.
Yeah.
And you can't
what potential? Where is the potential?
But do you know what it is? But do you know what you should do, Mo, in this conversation is just be objective and say, I understand they think there's potential in the player. But the same, for me, the argument isn't about debating whether or not Garnacho's got potential or not, whether he's got potential or not. I hear your point. For me, it's about people are angry because they're not seeing their ideology. They're not seeing their opinions come out. There's a friend of mine who does a lot of spaces. And I heard him on about 3 or 4 spaces for about 7 months saying, as soon as we get a proper coach with a real footballing structure, you watch my boys Rashford, you watch my boys Garnacho, you watch them fly. We've kind of got all the things in place that he was asking for, but it's just the key football decision makers, not the bankers, not the marketers, not the advertising specialists. The key football decision makers are making key football decisions. And because they don't marry up with his personal ideology, his view on what he wants the players and who he wants them to be, he's fuming. They don't know what they're doing. And I just look at it and think, you could be right. And this is what I'm saying, that you could be right. I am just not going to shed loads of energy being angry, throwing my toys out the pram until I see it come to the end. I'll give you an example. This is what it reminds me of. Imagine today, you and I, Mo, we go down to the local garden center and we buy some seeds. And these seeds are going to turn into beautiful lemon trees. I like a lemon, nice bit of lemon in, and a bit of water. I love a bit of lemon. Use it in food, cooking, prep, salads, everything. Great. This is what Man United fans are doing. They're getting home, getting out the plant pot, they're putting in the soil, putting in the seed. And every day this is, they're walking up to the plant pot, seeing just dirt, and they're screaming at it, where the fuck's my tree? They're ringing up the garden centre. I bought some seeds from you a week ago. Still no tree. Sir, it takes about 3 years for the tree to develop. Fuck you, I've got standards. It's all just bullshit. They are screaming at something to be ready when it can't be. Man United were never going to go from what we are to being a team that can consistently compete for a league and fingers crossed win it like this. It was never going to happen. And then on top of that, what you see is people's ideologies and their sort of fantasies not being lived out. Some people think, I thought when you get new owners, you start spending loads of money. They pay debts off. Can't be done. The Qataris couldn't do it either. You can pay the debt off, but that is, according to Kieran Maguire, I'm only going by the expert's words, anything you pay off that then the owners invest into and pay off that leads to more profit is offset for PSR, which means you still can't spend. The only way to increase the expenditure, the amount you can expend on players, is to increase revenue and to make savings at the football club. Hello, baby. You have a good day at school? All right, mate. I'll see you in a little while, baby. So from my point of view, you see people that I think they really thought, we got new owners, we're going to spend big, buy all these stars. No, you fool. You didn't listen to the experts in the first place.
This Ineos topic is very sensitive for you, I can tell.
No, it's not, forget Ineos. It's not about Ineos. It's about listening to what some of the experts, they tell half a story sometimes. Oh, United are making cutbacks. That's really bad. And I saw one yesterday that we're taking away some of the salary of 3 ambassadors, 3 legends, Brian Robson, Dennis Irwin, Andy Cole. People are getting mental. And I'm like, I asked a question. I got so much heat for it. I went, what's the net worth of those three individuals? And what was their salary? And what are they being put onto? Why does that matter? Well, if they're broke and they were being paid 30 grand a year, and now they're being told they're only going to get £15,000 a year, I said, I feel really bad for them because they're legends. So, but if they've got net worths of 3, 4, 5, 6 million pounds each, and they were getting paid 200 grand a year, and now they're getting £150,000 a year, I don't care because they're already rich, and I don't care that they're having a slight deduction, right? For me, everything is feast or famine. It's either the best thing in the world or it's the worst thing ever. And I just think so much of it is exaggerated, but it comes from, and I've criticized loads of things Ineos have done. I don't like the ticket price increase they've done. I don't like the deduction from charities that they've done. I've condemned it. I will continue to condemn it. If they increase the prices further, I'll condemn them again. I'll absolutely do it. But there's so many other things they're doing which are normal in our circumstance. When you listen to the rules around PSR and you listen to the rules around FFP, there's also, they ignore all the other things though. There's a reason that Man United's owners have pushed, for instance, for the spending cap to be increased, because they believe they can save money, increase the revenues over a number of years, to then be in a point to spend even more. But they don't want the spending cap to be in place because then they can raise all the extra income and save money to spend on players. But if the cap's there, it's all immaterial. People have just not got any patience. And if they don't see things being done, oh, that's not the football director I wanted. That isn't the player I wanted. That isn't the striker that I think's good. No one can be objective anymore and just say, okay, don't like that. Let's sit back and see what happens. At least give it a little bit of time and patience. You don't.
I watched what you said to Hugh. I watched what you said to Hugh and Chris, and I think that was the wrong approach. Today, you've taken the right approach of not mentioning other clubs, just addressing your own club.
What do you mean?
The stuff that they've done. I'll tell you what I mean. When that conversation started, and you had the conversation last time with them, it was basically saying like, oh, Arsenal aren't even on the list of charities, blah, blah, blah. I think sometimes as football fans, we are expected to talk about our own club. Like, that's just the unfortunate reality. This is something that you, Terry Flowers, will experience for the next 2-3 years under this Ineos thing until they get it right, until they sort it. You will have to answer these questions. Same way I have to answer for what FSG do. Same way, like, Don has to answer for what Clearlake does. Sometimes we do have to be a representation of our clubs and explain / criticize / praise the stuff that they've done. That's why from an Ineos perspective, you are expected as a Man United fan to clarify / explain / condemn / praise. And you have done that. You have condemned certain things. You have praised certain things. And that's how it should be. Now, I understand what you're saying with the people saying the conversations are either black or white, black or white, black or white. But you need to understand, football fans are reactionary emotional. This is the whole point of being a football fan is being able to be reactionary emotional. Now, the problem is with the ownership conversations, you can't be reactionary or emotional, but people are. So people are looking at the Ineos tenure so far with them as owners and going like, listen, over this last 6 months, couple of weird decisions, hiring this guy and then sacking him a little bit later, not sacking the manager and then giving him a transfer window, could have sacked him earlier, got an Amarim in the summer, blah, blah, blah. So people are putting essentially multiple different points together as a means to say Ineos in general are shit. That's basically what's happening. Because it's like the ambassador thing, the Ferguson thing, the prices, the stadium, and the Ten Hag thing, and the other guy that you got from Newcastle thing. So all of them are a pylon of things put together to explain that Ineos aren't good owners. That's basically the perspective.
But this is wrong. Can I respond to this? This is wrong because Chelsea owners in the beginning made a lot of mistakes, and a lot of us sit here and say that at the end the Chelsea owners got some aspects right of the football. That's why Chelsea today sit fourth in the Premier League. They're 4 points behind title contenders Arsenal. So Ineos, for some whatever reason, I hear what you're saying, Sam. For some whatever reasons, Man United owners in rivals' eyes are not allowed to make mistakes. But Chelsea owners, yes, you criticize him, but
this is actually in Man United eyes more. That's the problem.
Yeah, the problem is,
Terry
I
will tell
would
you.
say, yes, Ineos made mistakes. I actually sat here with Terry and I argued with him about the Ten Hag staying. It's a massive mistake at the club. But so were Todd Bowley and these guys. They made a lot of mistakes in the beginning, right? And they hired this guy and they got this player and that player. I think the problem with the Man United fans is that he expected an example of a Qatari owner to come in and turn the club around within a month or two. That won't happen, right? That's never going to happen. But we can criticize, but you can't just say, oh, they failed already. That doesn't work like this. Man City freaking signed Robinho in the first week, like signed Adiba. They signed everyone in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then they learned that, by the way, we need to win, to dominate, we need to build. Learn.
And this is so true. And there's a few things. I hope Sam can still hear me. I know he's turning his camera off. When I mentioned in front of Chris and Hugh about other fans and other clubs, there's a reason for it, which didn't come across very well. And that's my fault for not explaining it correctly. So I'll clarify. When rivals have pointed the finger at Man United for increasing prices, cutting Sir Alex Ferguson's money, taking that £50,000 from charities, in my humble opinion, 80, maybe even a higher percentage than that, of rivals pointing fingers don't care morally what Man United do. It's a point scoring exercise. And the reason I believe that they don't morally care is because I see zero energy from the vast majority of them towards their own football clubs. So it's not what about Eritrea in terms of it's okay for my club to do it because your club does it. I'm simply pointing out, I think some people take a pseudo-moralistic stance and pretend to be outraged as a way of battering a football club. We saw this from Newcastle fans. Many of them online for years criticized Man City for having money from the Middle East. And the money from the Middle East is tarnished for X, Y, and Z reasons. They got money from the Middle East and they said, I don't care because we're rich now. So that's why I mentioned other clubs, because I don't think people morally care as much as they pretend to. But the same
can I just say one thing on that? Can I ask you a question?
Go on.
Do you think this also, the problem with your club is, this isn't a rival thing? Your own fans do this to your own club.
So I'm about to get to that. So the rival thing is this. The reason I brought up rivals is because I don't believe the majority of them care. If they did, they'd have even more energy for their own clubs. Because if you're that morally grounded, and even Hugh said himself, he basically said, I've come to terms with the fact that my club Arsenal is built upon corruption anyway, which I find personally, I like the honesty, but I almost don't understand it. If I felt my club was built on corruption, I'd probably find another team to support. But each to their own, right? You fall in love. It is what it is, right? Fair play. Man United fans as well that are moaning about all these things that they hate the club doing. If we start winning trophies next year, none of them are going to go, oh, you know what? I love seeing the Premier League being lifted. Oh, the fourth Champions League's here, but we can't celebrate because Andy Cole lost 50% of his salary as an ambassador a few years ago. This is the problem I have with people and the way they behave, is that if we start winning, they won't give a fuck, which is why I think, again, the vast majority of people moaning online, it is performative and it is pseudo-moralistic. I don't think they really care. There's a few people. So there's a kind of a TV presenter, political commentator, I think he does now, a guy called Terry Christian, who's a United fan. He is someone who is very consistent with his views, and I think he still will say something. So there are some that do. And by the way, if you're someone that will still care when we win, don't be offended because I ain't fucking talking about you. The vast majority, when we start winning trophies, they will pretend they never criticized. They'll pretend that we never did anything immoral. They won't care about the redundancies. They won't care about the increased ticket prices. They won't care it's £100 for a shirt. They won't care how Sir Jim makes his money. They won't care that he wanted Brexit. They'll just be saying, we are winning. The same as all the other clubs that have been taken over by billionaires from different regions of the world, or that have made their money doing things that the world disagrees with, or through an industry the world hates. Once they start winning, nobody gives a shit. So that's what I'm pushing back against. Just like the Qatar World Cup. I understand there's problems with inside the nation of Qatar. I know that because I know there's problems inside my own country, as an example. But was I going to cover the World Cup games? Yes. Therefore, was I going to make money off of this World Cup? Yes. That, for me, tells me I have no higher ground to stand on to point fingers and act all high and fucking mighty. And that's my problem with a lot of people. They want to pretend they're a good, oh, look at me, I'm a good person. Oh, I hate this, I hate that. It's easy to hate on Man United when we're crap as a United fan. If and when we start winning again, no one in the match reaction is going to talk about any of this shit. They're just going to say, oh, look at my club, my manager, my number 7. So just fucking drop it now unless you're going to continue it the whole time. That's my problem. And people say waffle, waffle, waffle. You know I'm speaking the fucking truth on this. I don't believe most people are that offended. I really, really don't. And that's more what I'm pushing back against. The kind of performative bollocks that I see every fucking day when it comes to football. And we do it all the time. You know, we do it all the time. Some people... maybe they'll maintain it, but I doubt when we start winning, they'll be bringing up any... Man United fans are case in point. When we were winning trophies under Sir Alex, there was only a handful of Man United fans talking about the Glazers. Only a handful. Most people didn't give a fuck. It went through stages when there wasn't money being spent and debt was increased, and you see the green and gold scarf. There's a period of time where it was being done, but the vast majority... I used to go to games all the time. When it was fashionable, the green and gold scarves were being swung around. There was loads of other times where no one really cared. No one cared that much, if I'm being honest. I was there. I was living in Manchester at the time. I remember when it first happened, when I first moved to Manchester. I remember I worked with a guy who was his family, generations going to the games. I remember him fuming. This was the Monday morning after the FA Cup final. And they tried to do this thing, United fans, where they wanted to go to, I think it might have been the final was in Cardiff then. Might have still been at Wembley. But he said, we're all going to go and we're trying to make everyone wear black as a kind of funeral. It's a death for Man United because these Glazers are taking over. And I remember him fuming. He said the amount of people that didn't do it as an example, right? So I was there, I lived it. And I just feel, and there are loads of people that do care, and I'm not addressing you. If you care, and you will always care, then you're on my side because we're calling out the people that don't, but pretend to because it's fashionable in the moment. They get on my tits, these people. They really, really do. And yes, it is a meltdown, if you want to call it that. For me, it's the other way. It's just calling out the hypocrisy. You know, if you're a fan of Arsenal and you're so morally outraged about the bad things my club does, that's fine. But I expect that energy across the board for all clubs, not just when it... And we see this all the time. I've got Liverpool fans have called out before. Oh, bruv, you seen this news? Your club's in the mud, did it? Bruv, that's from the Sun. Yeah. I thought you said the Sun, the Sun is something we should all ignore. Oh, you mean you only ignore it if it suits your purpose? Come on now. Like you've either got to have integrity on these things or you don't. I don't think you can sit in between on this. So for me, I know I'm going to keep covering Man United. I know I'm going to keep covering football. So if the Super League happens, shit. Am I going to cover the games? Yes. Therefore, am I going to condemn it massively? No. Because then if I start covering the games, I'm the biggest hypocrite going. It's just ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, let's go to some of these comments that are coming through here. So that's my stance on it. I don't think selling Garnacho is that bad. To wrap that up, I don't think it's that bad.
Well, that is a plot twist.
Yeah. Toxic positivity. No, I don't think it is toxic positivity because I'm not saying people can't have criticisms. What I'm saying is don't drop your moral high ground if and when Man United start winning. Don't ignore what was sacrificed to get to that winning all of a sudden. Keep the energy the whole fucking time. Terry, according to Maradona and F1, you hyped up Radcliffe. You can call it hype if you want. What I stated and I stand by, I don't think anybody is going to part with billions of pounds to buy a football club and then do nothing to try and make it better. I think they will make the club a success. It's going to take them 3 to 4 years to get us there. So that's what I say. If you want to call that hype, you can call it hype. I'm very comfortable with that. Terry, it's all well and good to talk about 4 years down the line, but how about right now? You can't just switch off for 4 years. Yeah, but no one's asking to switch off for 4 years. But I don't want to make short-term decisions that impact the future of the football club. We have made short-termism decisions for 11 years. That's why we are where we are, my friend. I would like to see Terry and Goldbridge do a show discussing Garnacho. Yeah, I'm not sure if Mark would ever want to collaborate with myself, but if he does, then great. If he sees this, I'm always up for it, but I don't know if he does, but appreciate that. Terry, you're everything that's wrong with the modern fan. Winning is everything. And this is where we just see things differently. I don't believe we can ever get back to winning consistently, challenging and winning prems.
I think you're a bit fraudulent.
Yeah, I want to win, but I believe that you have to build a very strong structure, a very strong squad, have a set
Man United are 12th. They can't just go straight to winning.
Yeah.
They can't.
Yeah. But this is what's ironic. I'm asking Man United to do what all the other current successful clubs did and have build. A lot of United fans want us to just repeat what we've done for the last 11 years in the hope of a quick little fix. It's a quick little fix of, oh, I feel better. It's fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. RIP Chelsea, 1905 to 2025. The owners have destroyed Chelsea. Do you guys, on Chelsea quickly, because we were on them before we moved on to Man United and I lost my head. Do you think that, there's a lot of Chelsea fans that back Clearlake. You've got like Chairs and Donners as case and points, okay?
Lewis.
Do you think if they sign Douglas Luiz and Garnacho, they'll change their mind about the direction or the recruitment of the football club and the decision?
Yeah, people have been calling out the scouts. They have been. There are Chelsea fans who are calling out the scouts. This isn't like and it's funny because I'm a Liverpool fan and I know the name of the Chelsea scouts, which tells you all you need to know because I should never know their names. We got Plan Stewart and Win Stanley. I know their names as well. I heard as soon as I saw the Garnacho links, the Chelsea fans in every comment section just lost their shit. You get me? I have Chelsea fans just begging, going like, Forza Napoli. They just want the guy to go to Napoli so bad.
Douglas Luiz itself is not bad. Douglas Luiz itself is not bad. The problem is,
not bad, of course.
Like, it's not bad for them, and they don't have depth in the middle, so he's better than Dewsbury Hall. That's true. The problem is the stance always have to be, if you have a hole in your starting 11, fill it first before you actually go for a backup player. Because Douglas Luiz is not going to start over Caicedo, is not going to start over £100 million Enzo Fernandez, and is not going to start over Palmer. He's depth. You're bringing him for depth. But you have a big hole in the striker place, so just fill that first before you go and spend, because you went to spend 50 million euros on Douglas Luiz, right? So before you spend 40 million pounds on Douglas Luiz, go and get a striker first. Before you spend 50 million pounds on Garnacho, on a winger that you have, go and spend it on a striker or a centre back. That is the stance that people don't understand. That I see this as an opportunistic signing rather than what we need today.
Yeah. Greg here says Chelsea do need Luiz. Caicedo's running on fumes. Enzo injured, Lavia injured. There's no one else in the current squad to cover.
So what happens when everyone else is fit? Where are you going to put Douglas Luiz?
And also, they're not out for a long time, but guys, they're not out for a long time. I think Enzo Fernandez come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but that's the question that no one is willing to answer. Okay, no problem. They're injured. He's perfect for you right now. They come back, then what? Where are you going to play Douglas Luiz? Left back?
And who's scoring goals? Who's scoring the goals?
Exactly.
Lavia. And by the way, I gotta say something.
Chelsea's scum will never change ever.
The people that say Lavia is out for a long time, if Lavia is out for a long time, I think there is a case here to be put out. Is this another Reece James situation? The guy has been here for a year and a half now. He hasn't been consistent for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe you should sell the guy before you cut your losses. Maybe
I think that's more of the thinking here around midfielders they're looking at. I think there is this element of. I think they're smart, Chelsea, enough to know that they've bought. I just think, I'm going to say it now, I think Lavia is a bust. Not on ability, not on how technically gifted he is, but on his inability to stay fit. I think he's a bust. And if Chelsea are smart, they will keep hyping him up, keep talking him up, try and get him fit. And then if they can, sell him at a slight profit.
If you 10 games in, he plays 10 games or something, and then bang, sell the guy. Take the money back.
Exactly. A Napoli knocks on the door or a Juve and says, look, would you guys be interested in this? Play it down a bit, but yeah, I'd sell him as soon as possible. Kingsley here says, let's cut the crap. Our owners, Chelsea, are idiots, is what Kingsley has got to say here.
Thank you, Kingsley, someone who's honest.
This here from Josh, who says, we saw it yesterday with the Benfica kid. We sold, everybody saying, why sell him? When we sold him, nothing, didn't give an F. This fan base ain't built for a rebuild. Let's just say the truth.
Who's the Benfica kid?
Alvaro, the left back, played very well yesterday. Played very, very well yesterday. I'm still not sure if the one thing I liked him yesterday, I thought he was really good. The one thing still that I think we need more of is I wasn't too sure about his speed, his athleticism, his explosiveness. And I think in the Premier League, I think you may need more than what he has. He looks a little slow, and I'm talking slow in like for the Premier League. But yeah, listen, we'll see. Josh here says 2 months ago we got a manager with a defined system. 2 months later, we want that manager to abandon the system. If we're melting down in 2 months, how will we do this in 2 years? Well, this is what we have to hope for. And this is a hope because none of us are there working. You have to hope that we have a board and a leadership group that are stronger than the Glazers were, that are stronger than Ed Woodward was, and all those guys, Richard Arnold, who succumbed to that pressure, would allow a manager to bend and change his philosophy. They have to be strong and resolute and push through these hard times. We are the equivalent of a 30-stone man joining the gym for the first time to lose weight, to try and get healthy. That first even year is going to be painful. The knees will hurt. The elbows will hurt. Every day you will feel worse in the short term than you do sitting at home on the couch eating pork chops and donuts, watching daytime TV. You're going to feel worse, but it's the long-term gain. You need to be motivated. You need to have willpower, and you need to push through it. There's going to be mistakes along the way. There's no doubt about it. Anyone who thought we'd make no mistakes is a fool and deserves to not have their opinion heard. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, it's just going to take some time. This here says Chelsea fans told us he's better than Rice, who Lavia. I mean, if he was fully fit and stayed fit and developed, there's a chance he could have been. He's a very technically gifted player, but if you can't stay fit, if you're injured, when you're injured and you're not playing, you're not as good as anyone, are you? Because you're not playing.
There's no case here. There's no case.
You're not there. You're not there. City bidding for Cambiasso and Luis this week, by the way. City are moving serious this month. My frustration is that the price for Garnacho is 50 million, and yet we see Lecce demand nearly 40 million for Dorgu. Garnacho does have a profile. Should we not be getting a sizable fee? Other clubs seem to demand it. But you know what we also need to do as Man United fans is learn when to keep our mouths shut. So let's just say I'm wrong and we're even more broke. I think we're struggling. But to say we are broke. Why do Man United fans keep fucking talking about it? Why make it easier for rival clubs to get our players cheaper? Sometimes be a bit more Liverpool. Put on a United front. So, fuck off. We don't need that money. We'll keep him. But it's very hard for our club to turn around and sit in a boardroom and go, yeah, we're fine financially. And then they just pull out a litany of Man United fans online. Trust me, I'd do my research. If I was negotiating with Man United to buy one of their players, I'd be looking at what fans say, looking at what the media says. And the media only repeat what fans say nowadays. They're very, very lazy in what they do. Sometimes it's a case of understand the game. I don't think we should be telling anyone we're broke, because it will mean people will try and get players cheaper. We also shouldn't be telling anyone we're rich, because then they'll add up the cost of buying the player. The fact that Man United fans play the media's game for them, play rivals' game for them, or when it comes to that, keep fucking quiet. Keep it buttoned. Play the game. You can tell these people have never done sales before. That's the way. It just keeps quiet. You know? It's crazy to me. It really is crazy. Maybe City think Rodri wants to go to Real Madrid soon. Can do a similar thing with Fernandinho, Rodri, where Luis learns. I mean, how old is Douglas Luiz? What is he, 25, 26?
26.
Yeah, they're not even that different. I think they're only about a year apart in age.
Yeah.
So he's
not that young.
He's going to want to play regularly, I think.
He can play next to Rodri anyway. I think him and Rodri would be very, very good. City are scary, bro. Seriously, bro.
Yeah, City are winning the league next season, 100% stamp.
Like, fucking scary, bro. Like, sunny center backs, sunny forwards, sunny midfielders, not the sunny fullbacks.
Did you see the news today that came out about them?
Can you elaborate?
So yeah, there's a club in La Liga, Real. I don't want to pronounce the name wrong. Is it Valladolid? So this is what they've said. I'm paraphrasing it here, but their player, Jumabar, and his agent, they informed the club today that they intend to terminate the contract. Man City had previously requested from Real to open negotiations about a permanent transfer of the 18-year-old. Today, they said, no, we want to keep him. Bar today has failed to attend training, prompting the club to start disciplinary action. Real have accused City of influencing Bar's decisions. They told him to don't go training, be difficult, undermining the club by rejecting a higher financial offer and refusing to sign a new license that would increase his termination clause. So new contract, essentially. Bar's actions have deeply disappointed the club, which exercised a purchase option to sign him permanently this season after a loan from AIK Freetown. The player has now deposited the termination fee in his contract, and Real are essentially powerless here. They can't stop anything. They're going to pursue legal action, but they're essentially saying that Man City, the player and his agent, have colluded for him to stop coming to training, to pay out his own contract, and essentially they'll pick him up on a free, as it were. Thoughts on those accusations against Man City that have come out today?
Go ahead, Mo.
I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with this, to be honest with you. Well, if they give the player the money to trigger his release clause, isn't this exactly what you do in football? You just say, I'm going to pay your release clause and just take you. Isn't that how football work? If the player wants to, if Arsenal go tomorrow and trigger the release clause of Victor Gyokeres and he wants to go, can someone fault him for telling the player, bro, just pay your release clause? I don't know. I don't see the problem here. Does anybody else see the problem here? Like, isn't this a release clause?
Unfortunately, I would have to agree with Mo here. I actually don't see the problem. That's how it works in Spain. You give the guy the money, and you just release the player. So that's the same thing that happened with that's basically the rules of La Liga. The player himself has to give the money to La Liga or whatever it is. So I don't see a problem here.
But there's only one problem here, huh? There's only one problem. I just thought about it now. Where does this player got that money from? Because if City go and trigger the release clause and it goes on their books, PSR, it goes that they paid the money. I don't know how much is the money. Like, I looked it up and there is no news about it. Who gave this guy? Normally the release clause is way higher than your wage, right? If your release clause is similar to your wage and you can pay, all the players would have done it in the history of the sport, right?
So what's probably happened is it'll be an agent, or it'll be dad, or an agent or a company will give the money. It's actually be quite easy, actually, because football clubs are seen as secured creditors by most international banks. So if you went to, say you're a good footballer and you've got a contract with a 10 million buyout clause, if you went to a bank today and said, look, I need to borrow 10 million pounds to buy my contract out, but you can show an official letter that is signed by the owner of Manchester City that says, as soon as you release from that contract, you are going to be purchased, put on 50 grand a week, and you're going to get a 10 million pound signing fee, a bank will do you a bridging loan. Because that document, because they can almost, it's called, I don't know what they call it. In England, we call it factoring. You can use that document from Man City as security, essentially. And as long as Man City are willing to sign it off as security, so they would own that debt. If something, the player fails the medical, City will have to pay that money to the bank. But that way, City are not, they're not actually breaking any rules. Does that make sense? Because City will just sit there and say, well, the player's agent came to us and said they're buying out their contract. Are we interested? We said yes. And then what they told us a week later is that could we be a guarantor on buying out the release clause? And we said, of course we will. You've come to us. So again, I don't really think City have done anything wrong at all. I think this is La Liga crying. And I tell you what, La Liga have done things like this to clubs for 30 or 40 years. When they had all the money, when they had all the power. City here have just been smart. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. We all cry if players try to force their way out of our clubs or out of our leagues when it comes to the La Liga president. But when players do it to come to our league or players do it to come to our clubs, we love them. No, look what Liverpool fans did to Raheem Sterling compared to how they treated Van Dijk. And they happen very, very similar times to each other. I always remember just laughing, and it's not a dig. It was just the fickleness of football fans. The same as City fans will look at this and go, we've done nothing wrong, love it. If it's the other way around and someone did it to get who they rate and love, Foden, out of their football club, they'd call Foden a snake. It is what it is. But I don't think Man City have done anything wrong here whatsoever. No, it's not. Again, you've got to learn to grow thicker skin. It's not a dig. It's a point I'm making. Man United fans loved it when I use that as a case because it's a famous one. One you're not probably aware of is what Rojo did to leave Sporting to join Man United. Stopped going training. He really forced his way out of the club. Man United fans didn't care, but we will call Di Maria a snake. See, we all do it. That's why I look at this. I'm being objective, and I don't think, again, City have done nothing wrong. I don't even know if there's any rule against City telling the player to do it. It's I mean, they're just informing him on his rights.
The players in La Liga have to release themselves. That's the same thing that happened with Zubimendi as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if whoever signs
I'm sorry. Is this guy 18 years old? If you guys, I'm sorry for all the, because someone really educate us. What is his background? Like, where does he come from? Where did he play before? If you guys watch his picture.
I know he's from Sierra Leone. That's what I do know. Very talented player as well. I understand, but yeah, I don't know too much about him. He's only played. He's played 12 league games for them this season. 13 games in totality. He's a very young player. I don't know too much about him whatsoever. I would also suggest the release clause is probably a lot less than 10 million. We use that as a figure. It's probably much. And again, my message to Real, how do you pronounce it?
Real Valladolid.
Valladolid.
It's Valladolid for the people that speak Arabic, but in English it's that
Spanish. What is it in Spanish? Where they're from?
Valladolid.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lesson for them. Put a bigger fucking clause in it. Make it next time you help a kid the way that they've done and get him to, make sure that buyout clause is 30-40 million if you really rate him. So at least then you're getting some big cash. Do you know what I'm saying? That's probably what they're most gutted about, is they're probably looking at it and going, hang on, the release clause is £500,000 and we think he's going to be worth 100 million in 5 years' time. Maybe that's a bit exaggeration, but we'll put a bigger release. Is a reason that, like, what's Yamal's release clause at 18 years of age? What is that? 500-600 million, something like that, if not more.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
and that's why they do those ridiculous release clauses, so that nobody can come in and do that. So they've learned a lesson. Also, I didn't realize that club, Valladolid, it's owned by 82% owned by R9. He's the owner of the club.
I didn't know that.
This is a plot twist. R9 who? Ronaldo Nazario de Lima?
R9. I'm not talking about Richarlison at Spurs. Like R9. The
R9 owns the football club since when?
Yeah, maybe he owns other football clubs in Brazil as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the president of the club and he owns 82. That's where this is interesting, though, right? Because the whole world has an allegiance to R9 because of how brilliant he is. He's the president of the club. So he's the one kicking off about this. I'm just intrigued. I'm intrigued now to see if they take this further against City and they start bad-mouthing them. I'm intrigued to see suddenly what...
Who's bigger, R9 or City?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of that, but more so...
R9, definitely. R9.
I can't wait to see what...
R9 is bigger than City.
I can't wait to see City fans' opinion of R9 as a footballer now. That's because it changes how people view you when you get into a spat with them. So...
I'm sure the R9 PR is much bigger than anyone's PR, to be honest. Like if the guy just rallied the fans, it would be ridiculous. There's a lot of people that love the guy. It's the craziest story ever, like, to be honest.
This is tampering. You mean tapping up? Yeah, is tampering not a thing anymore? Yeah, but it isn't. So this is what happens: is Man City wouldn't have gone directly to the player's house. They would speak to a lawyer who speaks to an intermediary, who then speaks to another intermediary, who goes to the agent of the player. That way, Man City have made no direct contact. And that's the only way they can stop this is by making the rule more broad, which is zero contact through intermediaries, third parties, or any way, shape, or form. The only way you can speak to a player is asking permissions specifically from their club. Until they introduce that, it can't be stopped. That's the long and the short of it. But I don't know if football wants it to stop. There's too many people making money. And by the way, the presidents and the people that run these associations, they're all getting cash and money here and there. So it's never going to change. It's never going to change. Speaking of deals, one that's, I don't think Arsenal fans are actually getting that excited about it yet. I think they're really holding back. But the Sesko news has reared its head again today. This gentleman Sam, who broke the news the other day, along with Connor and others, have basically said that Arsenal have made contact. I'm paraphrasing again here, so I'm not quoting them word for word. The player is up for the move. A loan approach was rejected. Arsenal have been told this is the price. Essentially, pay it and you can have him. The Cunha deal as well is interesting because 3 or 4 days ago, everyone laughed at the idea of him leaving. There's now 5 clubs chasing him. The local reporters in Wolverhampton have said Arsenal are leading the race, but Nottingham Forest look as though they're going to put in a club record bid for the player. I feel like, I know we focus predominantly on the top 6 teams, and these are 2 big Arsenal targets. That's why they're the kind of headline here. But I feel like Nottingham Forest are kind of sort of sending a message out to Arsenal and Arsenal fans that if you're serious now, you're going to have to pay money. No loans, no waiting until the summer. If they're going to bid like 40 to 50 million pounds for Cunha and Wolves are going to accept it, Arsenal are going to have to make a move because it feels like both these deals are starting to advance. But I'm not convinced Arsenal are going to get them complete. What do you guys think?
He would not choose Forest over Arsenal. I think it would be stupid to choose Forest over Arsenal.
I get that. You're missing my point, though. If Arsenal don't want to bid 40 or 50 million, then Forest are getting in.
Yeah, they will have to.
Yeah.
But they will have to, of course.
Do you think they will?
Yes. If Arsenal want Cunha, they will pay 40, 50 million for Cunha. It's not that much. And if Arsenal are a serious football club and they don't want to do as some fans say, write off our season now, focus on the summer, which is the stupidest thing to ever say in football, that write off a season when you're second, 6 points behind, and you still have Champions League to play. That would be so stupid. I think they shouldn't go and sign the guy. And every Arsenal fan now is turning into an accountant, which is so strange now. They're looking at the deals like, no, this guy is £5 million. I say, who cares about that? That is not your job. It is not your job. Stop saying he's a £5 million less. Oh no, we shouldn't overpay. It is not your job. Just go and pay the money. If you want to win, you have to pay. You have to pay. And Arsenal should go and sign Cunha. And if they can sign both Sesko and Cunha, it will improve their chances of trying at least to push Liverpool. At least try. But this defeatist mentality from Arsenal by the way, and people say, who? A lot of people have said that. I'm not going to mention names. A lot of people have said that maybe we should write off the season and not try now so we won't miss on our target in the summer. Some people said that. Some people, Arsenal, think like this. Go and pay the money. Who cares if Nottingham Forest offer 50 million? Go and sign the guy. Go and beat Nottingham Forest if you're serious. By the way, if you're not serious and you're thinking about accounting, go and don't support a football club. Go and be an accountant tomorrow and do math and stuff like that. Arsenal should go and sign Cunha without a shadow of a doubt. If they can sign Sesko and Cunha, will show me that these guys are serious. Arteta's crying for signings. He's crying. He says we're so light in depth and stuff like that. So just go and sign Sesko and Cunha, bro. And people.
I don't think Sesko makes Arsenal League champions. I don't think Sesko makes.
What about Sesko and Cunha?
Because Sesko is way too raw of a talent. Sesko still needs a lot of development. Sesko is not Arsenal level, Arsenal quality. Sesko needs a lot of work still. Sesko needs to move to maybe like a West Ham or someone like that, Brighton. He's not Arsenal level. Cunha, I like Matheus Cunha. He's not necessarily a striker, if you would like. He's a better finisher version of Jesus. So he's someone who can create for others. He's someone who can link up spaces and stuff. And obviously, he's a lot better finisher than Jesus. So I think Cunha would be the much smarter signing. And yes, Arsenal can definitely salvage this season if they sign players. I mean, I'm not confident in my own club finishing the job. So they can salvage this season. I think there are options out there. Like maybe if you sign an Openda, he's better. You know, if you want to go like down the Bundesliga route, Leipzig route, if you would like, I think like he's better. Cunha is a very good player. I'd love to take Cunha at my club. Sesko is just average in my opinion. I don't think Sesko is someone that takes them to a league title.
I understand that. I just want to put up Carl's comment from Connor Marble Halls, who, again, if you guys think he's credible, let me know. If you don't, we want the opinions. But he says Arsenal are really pushing to sign Benjamin Šeško. The player wants to move, and the two clubs are in direct contact. Multiple sources now. Nothing from sort of the Fabrizios or the David Ornsteins, but they're typically in a position now where they confirm the news when it's a lot closer, typically, as opposed to breaking it early in case it doesn't come off because they don't want to have a sort of their credibility hit. I looked at it. I said this yesterday to Dan Potts, and now this news is broke. I'm saying it even more today. Forget for a moment, Hassan, that you don't think Sesko's that good. Arsenal do. Forget for a moment. I think we all rate Cunha, but let's pretend we don't. Let's be objective here. Let's just be like hypothetical. Let's forget that we don't rate Cunha. Arsenal do. Go and get it done. They're not, if they don't think
I rate Cunha though.
No, I get, that's what I'm saying. Forget that you do. I'm saying I'm answering all the people that are saying, "Oh, I don't know if they should," because I don't think the players are that good. Arsenal's board, Arsenal's manager, Arsenal's recruitment team disagree. They think they're good enough. So therefore, for me, yeah, you might be paying £10 million more now for Cunha than in the summer. Yes, it might cost you 65, 70 million now for Šeško. You might get him for 55 in the summer. But if you really believe they're needle movers for you, you don't have time to waste. Forget everybody's opinions for a moment. You think he's good enough, so go and get it done. And that would be the bit that would frustrate me the most if I was an Arsenal fan, is the club rate these players. They've been linked to the players for a long time. Go and make the move. Go and get that done. And look,
I actually get what you're saying now. You're saying forget our opinions on them. If the club likes them, sign them now. That's
stop being linked FC. If you think it's good, go and sign the guy.
Go and get it done.
Instead of being linked FC, I like the player. Okay.
Yeah, you like the player. Well, go and get the player, because I think Arsenal, on a number of occasions, listen, they've made some good signings in the last few years. Saliba, Odegaard as an example. They've promoted some very good players like Saka and made them into good players, but they've also deliberated. I look at Yuri Tillemans as an example, a player they could have got. I look how well he's now doing at Aston Villa, and I think they could do with him in their team. Isak is the standout example of a player that and it's not been so much, it's on the board as well, but it's I know he's a good player, but is he worth the money? You now look at what it would have cost to sign Isak. He would have been worth the money. Tillemans would have been worth the money if he came in. There's some they got right. They deliberated and didn't pay the asking price for Buendia. And actually, Odegaard for me is a better player than Buendia. So they've got it right on some occasions as well. However, they've got to stop hesitating here. The procrastination from Arsenal, it winds their fans up. It makes them angry. And then the last thing you want to do is wait. Sesko has a brilliant back end of the season. And then they go, nah, it's 85 million, which can happen. It can go the wrong way for you, where the player can become more valuable. Anyone who wanted Isak should have gone for him last summer or the summer before. Now you've got almost no chance of getting him unless you've got the only clubs that could probably buy him are clubs that have got almost a complete squad that just want to add a goal scorer and can go, we'll spend a whole season's budget on one player because the rest of the squad is very good. They should be doing it. And with Cunha's the one even more so for me when it comes to Arsenal. I think he's a very talented player. I actually think, personally, subjectively, I believe I think he is a needle mover. And I think that he will give them what you saw from Gabriel Jesus in his first season. And the reason Gabriel Jesus couldn't keep doing that is because he could never stay fit and he could never get into a run of form. We actually started as football fans to see Gabriel Jesus very briefly start to get back to that level of form.
I don't think Cunha is enough for them, though. I don't think Cunha is the striker they need. Cunha is not the guy. Like, they need a box striker as well. Cunha is the left side. Like, I think he would provide the difference, but I don't think he's the striker. He needs spaces. We're talking football now, not signing. We're talking football. I think Cunha needs spaces. You know what I mean?
I get that, but I'm not saying he is the final piece of the jigsaw. They need nothing else after him. But I still think he elevates the team. When Gabriel Jesus was fit and could play a run of games, his influence on the game was very good. Goal scoring was never going to get 30 goals a season. Cunha could be that replacement where he'll chip in with a good amount of goals, but his fitness levels, his availability is high. He can influence games. He can help create space. He can set goals up for others. He's brilliant at picking that ball up just inside his opponent's half and carrying that ball. They struggle with that sometimes, Arsenal. So I think he'd be an excellent piece of business. Where Arsenal have to be careful is with the other clubs. If they lose out on him to Forest, if they lose out on him, dare I say it, to Manchester United, where we sit in the league, Arsenal fans are going to hit the roof because this is a player they've tracked for ages, they rate, and they really want. He's a high priority. If they go, do you know what? We just are not paying the £45 million the others are willing to spend. We're going to go no higher than 35. I think for that extra £10 million, they are helping him to strengthen either traditional rivals or, if you look at Forest right now, a rival in the league. And Forest with Cunha in their team, they are genuine contenders for a Champions League position. They are anyway. With him added to their team, even more so. So Arsenal, for me, it does seem like Cunha can go. They must get that done.
I have to ask a question to Hussam, especially, and you, if you want to answer, of course, you're the host. Why are Arsenal going for Sesko, not for Gyokeres and Osimhen? We know that we all agree that Osimhen and Gyokeres are more established players. They won leagues, they scored abundance of goals, they played with winners, they were coached under winning coaches. Why are Arsenal, even though there is a price difference, we're not accountants, why are they so attracted to Sesko and not Gyokeres and Osimhen? Because Gyokeres and Osimhen basically for you is a Sesko 5 years from now. If you believe he's that good, why? Really?
Yes,
I don't understand this.
This is perfect. More. I agree with you. That's why I think if Arsenal want to win the league this season, go sign Osimhen, go sign Gyokeres, go sign one. You just need one top-class player that makes a difference. I see Arsenal fans, listen, Arsenal fans very sensitive. They cry about everything. I see some of them crying in the chat.
They haven't cried yet, yeah. They haven't cried yet.
Oh my God, how can you say Sesko's not good enough? Sesko's not good enough now. Sesko needs about 3, 4, 5 years to get to that level. By which the time Saliba's going to be a Real Madrid player, Gabriel will be gone, and all this rebuild that you did is gone. Maybe even Arteta himself will be gone. So stop waffling about this whole, Sesko thing. Sesko's not good enough for you now. Now, in this moment in time, Osimhen is better for you. Gyokeres is better for you. You need an established player because you already have an established team. This is the thing that people need to acknowledge and accept. You have an established team. Get established players. Osimhen already won a league title with Napoli for the first time in 40 years. So the guy has experience of helping his team win a league title. You already let Kvaradona go for 50 million pounds.
Why Arsenal are going for him then? Why do you think Arsenal are going for him? Okay.
There's a reason you're asking this. You are a fraud. You are a fraud.
I want to know why.
Because Arteta wants to control the players, is basically what you're saying.
Do you believe that? But Sesko is not that profile.
Don't turn this on me. You are a fraud. Don't turn this on me.
I'm not turning it on you.
Stop smirking. I'm not going to answer
on you.
You answer that question.
Why you are not? I don't know. Wallahi, I don't know.
You don't know. You
it's only maybe the money. It's maybe the money. Maybe they want to pay.
For a reason.
Maybe it's the money, bro. Maybe it's the money.
For a reason. There's a reason you asked that question.
Maybe the money. Maybe the money. The money. Wages.
Easy way out. Cop out.
Maybe the money. These wages is price tag is cheaper.
Say it as this,
Habibi, no. Because by the way, I don't believe Sesko is that profile you think he is. He's not someone. I think Sesko, every time I watch the guy, I think that Sesko isn't the guy that would just listen and be a yes guy and stuff like that. No, I don't think so. So to answer you, Hussam, I don't think like you.
Bro, he's 20 years old from fucking Leipzig. I don't think
that Sesko is like that guy that Arteta is not going to be a Martinelli or these guys. He's not going to be that guy. He will demand playing time. He will ask to play. He won't sit on the bench and be silent. He will have a time with Arteta to say, what is my role exactly in this team? By the way, I'm not saying this. I said that before, Osam. I'm not saying this today.
Can I ask you a question?
Hold
Stop
on.
shouting. Let me ask you a question.
I actually.
Do you think Arteta is afraid of big players?
I think he might, yes. Based on what we've seen until now, names with swagger.
Yes. I not tell you, chat. I know him really well.
No, but that's not Sesko, though. I don't believe Sesko's that guy.
Osimhen is that guy.
In my opinion, I think it's money, and it is the 20-year-old resale value, whatever blah 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 thing that they have. Because if Sesko comes into the club and he does well, even if Arsenal want to sell him later, they will sell him for a profit. If Osimhen comes in, he's going to be 30 by the time his contract ends. Gyokeres is already older. I believe it's money related. The club is still, hear me out then, this is it. The club at Arsenal are obsessed with projects, with developing players, with getting better. It does not do with the yes. There is the yes thing that you said. I don't know if Terry can hear us because he was lagging for a bit.
I can hear you.
Okay. Like, I think it's all about Sesko is 20 years old, as you say. He's going to develop. He's going to be the guy that they develop and stuff like this. I think that is the reality. If you get at 28 years old and it doesn't work, you can't sell the guy. There's no potential there. Osimhen, you can't sell the guy. I think it's all about the money and it's all about project and the commitment to Arteta for another 3-4 years where he can develop this guy and make him a striker that maybe a Real Madrid or a Barcelona
will have 3 or 4 more years.
Now you hit the nail on the head. Okay. I think the owners believe that. I think the owners believe this.
Yeah. Let me throw some curveballs here to be objective. So Isak, I just don't think he's attainable now. Too expensive. And I do agree that is money. With what he would want in salary, 150 odd million, I just don't. It's too expensive. Most clubs are not going to pay that. Fair play to Newcastle. Gyokeres, I think they should be going for him. But let's wait and see where he goes in the summer. I'm just going by the rumors and the stories that are out there. He's earmarked for Man United, him and Amorim. That would make sense why Arsenal we'll move on to elsewhere if he wants to go there. Osimhen, I found Osimhen a weird one. I rate him, but a lot of people don't. And what I mean by that is, even at a discounted rate, Chelsea inquired but didn't want to pay him the salary, and no other club in Europe came in for him last summer. So I think the biggest question for Arsenal is, why didn't they get Isak a couple of years back? I think it's a bigger question. The Gyokeres one, I agree. They should be all over it because I think he's a brilliant player. However, I think he's earmarked for somewhere else. Osimhen, again, I think they should be all over it, but I can be objective and say, well, no other club is really interested in him. So therefore, if no one else is looking at him, is there a problem there? Is there something about the way he plays, or an attitude problem, or an application issue, or a dietary situation? I don't know. Right? I'm making these things up as an example, but is there something that every other club in Europe sees that we the fans don't? Because we all rate him, we all think he's brilliant, but for some reason, no one's willing to pay him the salary he demands at 250 grand a week and pay 50, 60 million pounds for the privilege of buying him. There's something in that. The Gyokeres one is the most intriguing to me because barring he's already earmarked for somewhere else, I think he's a superior striker to Šeško. He's older, he's more experienced, he's played in England before. There's an 80 million euro buyout clause, which means you don't even have to negotiate. That's 70 million pounds and he's yours. I do agree with that completely. Absolutely.
No, you have to. You said something. They have to negotiate. You have to convince the player to join their club.
Well, that's it. Maybe, yeah. I mean, that's also, again, being objective.
You have to sit with the guy and convince the guy this is the right club for you, not Man United with Amorim. Well, I think it's a fucking easy job. It's nothing easier than this.
No, listen, I understand that.
You will not like this, but Gyokeres should have Man United dead last on his club. Sorry, guys, I take that back. Second last after Spurs. So
thank you.
Yeah, I think if Arsenal are calling, listen, Man United are, of course, a gigantic institution, much bigger than Arsenal, right? 100% bigger club than Arsenal. But if Gyokeres has a choice between both and it's the same money and everything, bro, just go to Arsenal, mate. Just go to Arsenal. I think with Arsenal, whatever plans they have for the summer, just spend some of that money now getting a forward line player in. Because you can see the forward line is just so dire. It's just so dead. Like there's just nothing there.
I agree. Listen, I don't disagree that they should be spending more. I feel like the window is really starting to heat up now, though. It's sort of simmering a little bit. I think it's going to boil over pretty soon. It's waiting for a few
think we might sign someone.
Who?
I'm unsure yet, but I think we might do something in the next 11 days.
Okay.
Sherky is a real interesting one.
Sherky, for 25 million euros, I think he's available for.
Yeah, I think Sherky is someone.
I thought you're in for Isak. The news this morning that you're replacing Mohamed Salah with Isak.
Let me tell you why my club is the dumbest club in the transfer window. We're always looked at as the well-run club. This is what happened last summer, and I know this for a fact. Cry more, chat. This is what happened last summer. When Newcastle were going through FFP problem, they offered us Isak. They wanted Joe Gomez and money for Alexander Isak, but we said no. And they wanted Kwanzaa and money for Isak, and we said no. Big up Liverpool Football Club. Smartest club in the transfer window, aka the dumbest one. But I think we might get some moves done as well in the next 11 days. Nothing crazy, but I think it might be like a Sherky or someone like from that type of situation, to be honest.
So a little bit of breaking news from Fabrizio Romano, and this might send a little bit of fear into Chelsea fans. Napoli are now in negotiations with Borussia Dortmund over the potential deal for Adeyemi. He goes on to state that negotiations for Alejandro Garnacho are still on, but no agreement with Man United after their bid. Chelsea are weighing up their first formal proposal. And if Napoli take their eyes off Garnacho, if Man United really do want to or really do need to sell, he could be Chelsea bound. That is
Garnacho. Oh, it's happening, guys. It's happening. Chelsea fans give up. Chelsea fans, you know Garnacho is going to be wearing that Chelsea shirt, and you're going to announce him soon. He was there at Stamford Bridge, the agent. Guys, hey, it's gonna, you're going to have a great time, Chelsea fans. Enjoy, Habibis. So,
it
yeah,
could happen.
Can't wait to see this.
Let's go to somebody's super
Deep
chat.
down, Terry, you know he's going Chelsea, right? Deep down.
Maybe. Let's go to the super chats here. Maradon, I don't want to think about it. Maradon is a zero ball knowledge tosspot. Big up to, that's a bit harsh. He's a nice, I like all my trolls. I like them all. Other than a few of them who I'm gonna have to take down. It's a joke.
Maradon actually is a fraud. I do agree with that super chat.
I don't think these trolls are frauds. I think they're contrarians in the sense of whatever you say. They're reductionists and contrarians. Whatever you say, they will, if they agree with it, they just go kind of silent, right? If they don't, or they think it's, or they don't really have a strong stance on it, they just say, they reduce it down to something basic, like taking a clip out of context, and then they will say the complete opposite to be controversial or to challenge. But it's just fun. Like it's like yesterday. I was clipped up on a video. I spoke about this yesterday. I was clipped up on a video where I said, I think it might have been, no, it wasn't the straight facts we did. It was a week or so earlier about me saying Arsenal was scary. And I stated in the video that I said it 2.5 years ago. I also say in the video, the full-length version, that of course I've said it since about other people or had a bit of a laugh and a joke with it, because shock horror, you can make jokes. I said, but it was clipped up, and then people are in the comments saying Terry's a fraud. He said it a few months ago. And it's like, well, this is the problem. You know, you're then offended that I've mentioned you. Like legitimately, I've had DMs and messages. How dare you mention me, etc., etc. And I'm sitting there like, well, you're the one who took me out of context. I'm just kind of laughing at the fact that you got fooled by an out of context clip. Don't have a go at me for mentioning that. It's crazy. But I do like the trolls. The trolls are a really important part of what we do, I think. Arsenal actually need 2 signings this window, not 1. It's a good point, D. I really like Sesko, to be honest. He's number 1 target. Pay the 70 million. He's worth 55 in the summer. Increase seems fair. Don't make the same mistake you made with Isak, is what Mark says.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You think he's worth 70 million? You're crazy, bro. You're gonna pay 70 million for Sesko, who's a raw talent who could go right or wrong. That's insanity, honestly. If you're gonna pay that money, pay it for someone who's worth it.
I think they might get both. Play Cunha on the left and Šeško through the middle. We will see how ambitious our ownership is. Listen, they get both. That's not a bad win. It's not a bad window with both. It's not a bad January window with both.
With Cunha, yes, because Cunha is a very good player, 100%.
Yeah. Cunha brings centrality and individuality to Arsenal. I get what you mean, and sometimes you need that. Because Osimhen is highly overrated, is what Wayne Sage says here.
Osimhen is not overrated; he's underrated. People like he's just another average striker. He's not. He's an unbelievable striker.
Would you say something about Isak would you say the same thing about Isak 2 years ago, that Arsenal should have bought him essentially? Or he was
but you look at Isak now.
Yeah. And I think he means, would you say
look at Isak now, and it took him 3 years. And we're saying, me and Mo, by the way, agree. Sesko could become this in 3 years, but could you afford those 3 years? That's the question.
Yeah. Project.
Wrong, Mo. Šeško is an Arteta type player.
Can you elaborate? What does that even mean? In what sense? Football wise, or yes man wise, or a molding wise, or a shaping? Like, what does that even mean? Like AMT, with all due respect, like, I really want to clarify.
There we go. Age, salary, and ability to mold the player is why.
See, that's maybe the answer for AMT. Maybe.
Yeah. Osimhen could only get a loan move to Galatasaray for a reason. Nobody wants him, only the fans. That is a fair argument because there isn't a rebuttal to it until we understand why.
But can I give you a rebuttal?
Go on.
And you know this as someone who's experienced when it comes to negotiating on transfers. There are two clubs that people don't like negotiating with, Napoli and Lyon. And you know those two clubs are very difficult to deal with. We both know this. As when we've spoken to journalists before, we know that these two clubs Sporting likes don't like to deal with. And maybe in the summer they were asking for too much money for Osimhen. Maybe they just wanted too much and they didn't budge. You know, they did the same thing with Koulibaly. By the way,
different now.
Koulibaly was wanted by many clubs for a long period of time. And then and they wanted like 80-90 million for him. They wanted more than Van Dijk.
I don't know why people hate Osimhen. Osimhen plays with Timberland shoes at the bum. He's not a bum. He won the league with Napoli. He's a good player. Good, bro. What the fuck is
Timo Lukaku? What the hell?
Wait, you people. What is wrong with people?
Yeah, I think that's a big exaggeration. Don't want Osimhen anywhere near my club. Gyokeres is what D says here. I hear that.
Diallo, I thought you said you're a Barcelona fan.
Yeah, I thought you said you're a Barca fan. Why are you doing all this near my club? You said you're a Barca fan and you only like Arsenal. You and Haytham are two confused individuals. Haytham in the chat is the same. He pretends to support Barcelona, and then when Liverpool start winning, he becomes a Liverpool fan again. And you're the same thing with Arsenal, Diallo. Have some shame. If you support Arsenal, just admit it in the chat.
Lost Night here says Osimhen is the same style of player as Aubameyang. We need a holding striker. Thoughts?
Wrong. Osimhen played in the best position-based team that played in Italy with average 70% position when they won the league with Napoli. So he literally didn't have that much space. It's just a proof. It's a fact. By the way, Napoli with Lobotka and Zielinski and these guys were literally the team that had all the position in every game they played. So that notion, when I like to say notion, the word notion, that Osimhen only plays on the transition, that is completely wrong, by the way. It's completely wrong.
Also, space and Serie A is a myth.
I get that. Yeah. Mark here says, we ask clubs to scout, and when they do, it's an issue. Scouts have looked at his data, concluded he's the best option. He's not a 5-year time player. Hyperbolic.
But he's not the best option, though. He's not. And your scouts are wrong. Just like they were wrong about Marino. Just like they were wrong about Sterling. Just like they were wrong about Havertz. Just like they were wrong about Jesus and Zinchenko, who you both would get rid of right now. Did you stop making out that your club is just this elite, God-sent club that can't make a mistake? Because every club can make a mistake. And so did your club for the last 3 years in transfers. And if you disagree, then you should be Arteta out.
There's an interesting comment here from John Cross that's come out in the last 20 minutes where he says Arsenal will only do a big deal in January, are willing to do a big deal in January, but only if they can land a primary target. The club has been looking at top striker target Benjamin Šeško, and we'll see if they can tempt Leipzig into a deal now. And that's what we were saying earlier. Again, if we drop our objectivity on how good, bad, ready, raw the player is, he's the number one target. It's been very well documented now in a lot of places. They're saying they're willing to go big. We'll go big. Leipzig, I think, Leipzig will keep saying no. All clubs say we don't want to do business. We don't need to do business. So I have driving up.
Hold on. Can I just say something here? This is excuses, guys. You remember Manchester City kept trying to get a Harry Kane, right? For that season. You remember that?
Yes.
Arsenal need to have a contingency plan. What if Sesko at the end decided he's going to go Bayern Munich? Halas, no business. Oh, we're not going to sign anyone because Sesko's not here. Oh, we tried. Clubs don't work like this. What if you can't convince Sesko to join your club?
I'd like to introduce you to Liverpool Football Club, who also work like this.
Yeah, no, they do.
It's weird, bro. It's weird how people... Mo will only sign Sesko, but because that's the guy that Arteta wants. What can we do? He doesn't want to leave in January. Okay, khalas, throughout the season, khalas, throughout like your white towel, and then we couldn't sign Sesko. No contingency plan, nothing. A load of bullshit. And by the way, whoever wrote this, Terry, you know that we have been analyzing football for a while. No club has only one target. No club in the history of the sport has one target.
I get that. Jay here says Osimhen has only had one season over 20 goals, extremely overrated. The problem is with that, Jay. We went through this yesterday. We had a very similar super chat. He has the same. He has 1 goal less in his career in 50 less games than Alexander Isak. This season, he is on track to scoring well over 35 goals. He's had multiple seasons where he's hit sort of 18, 19 goals. I actually looked at it yesterday. His goal scoring record for a player that's available for about 50 million is very good. You are correct. It is not on par with, Alexander.
But here's the problem. Stop. Terry, there's a problem. Read the rest of his super chat. What does it say?
Extremely overrated.
Sesko or Gyokeres over him easily.
But those guys.
So Sesko has 0 seasons with 20 goals. 0 seasons, even though he played for Salzburg in the Austrian league, and he played for Leipzig in the Bundesliga. He's had 0 seasons with 20 goals. So if Osimhen has 1 in the Serie A playing for Napoli, Sesko got 0. So how are you?
Jay, 1-0 Hussam.
Hang on. Let's do this properly. Let's slow this down. So in Osimhen's career, his first season as a pro, 20 goals. Second season as a pro, 18. Third season, 10, 18, 31, 17. So far this season, in 19 games, 15 goals. This season, his goals per game ratio is the best so far in his career. Šeško, first season as a pro, 1 goal, but in 15 games. Okay, so he bit part player. First full season, 21 goals in 29 games. Second full season, 11 goals in 37. Then he got 18 in 41. Last season, 18 goals. So far this year, in 25 games, he's on 13. So he's probably going to hit 20 goals this year in all competitions, that is. There isn't, again, but he's played 190 games in his young career and got 82 goals. In 242, Osimhen has 130 goals. He was 129 yesterday. He's 130 goals now. He scored yesterday. Again, there isn't a huge difference. The only thing is that what Osimhen has, he's played in title-winning teams in one of the biggest leagues in the world. He's got that. They've both got Champions League experience, to be fair. I just don't understand why more people don't like Osimhen. Is Neymar's career a failure after leaving Barca?
Yes.
I think we'll say yes quickly on that one. We also need a striker, bro. We hear you, D.
Cunha, the striker.
Thanks for the counter. Respect. Also, big up, Terry. Watch your show every day. I appreciate that last night, and I really, really do, for you tuning in. It was a general chat. My club was not specific.
No, you said we. You said we, mate, and you definitely was talking French. So, yeah.
Zinchenko and Jesus come to Arsenal to qualify for the Champions League. It so happened that they challenged for the Premier League in 22-23.
Only fan base in the universe that does this. You signed them to qualify for the Champions League. Well, who says this? Like, we signed a player just to qualify for the Champions League. Okay, we signed Mane before we got Champions League. So did we just sign him just for the Champions League? But he was there when we were on the Prem. The whole point is having a player that you think has the potential to win.
I just want Haaland, man, maybe alone. Well, maybe if they lose their court case, maybe then. I doubt they're going to lose it, though. Sesko has just turned 21. No, I understand that. No, I'm not.
No, because he is a hypocrite. Not you, Terry. He is a hypocrite. You said that Osimhen only has 1 season with 20+ goals. Sesko has none in league, if we're saying league only. Sesko has 0. So you can't use it one stick to beat one guy. And
I don't do the fucking league thing only. Do you know why? Because our teams don't fucking play in the league only. I find it really weird. You know, imagine removing all 50 of Mo Salah's Champions League goals because they're not in the league. Who would do that? It doesn't make sense to me.
When you're using his logic against him.
Yeah, when you assess a player. Arteta shouldn't be given more money for project players like Sesko. Only if it's Isak, Gyokeres, or Osimhen who will be here irrespective of Arteta. So that's a great point. Again, and your project shouldn't be built solely in the image of Arteta. So it's about, if your project is off, if the structure is off, that needs to be challenged a lot more than anything else. All this shows is the state of Arsenal, small mentality club, I think he means. Osimhen is too big of a player for them. Go and get your new kiddie, 21 years old, is what the K says here.
Love the sarcasm, the K. Love the sarcasm. He's always having a dig at Arsenal. He's always having a dig at Arsenal.
This here says there's an Indian singer named Is it AP? Is that how do you pronounce that name? Is it Dylan? Is that how you pronounce it?
Dylan, yeah, AP Dylan, I think.
AP Dylan, whose most famous song is called "Excuses," and he looks very similar to David Raya. Since we got Raya, our transfer window has been full of sorry excuses. I'm gonna have to Google this guy now. Let me Google AP. Straight away comes up. Canadian rapper and singer. Ah, he does. He doesn't like him. Damn.
His famous song actually is "Excuses." That's mad.
He actually does look like him. Yeah. He's got the skin fade, the beard, the kind of curly bit on top. I don't know how to explain it. You know, young people have that hair where it's all like curly and flops down on top of their head. Yeah. I always love looking at young people's haircuts because I always look at it and think, what would people have said about that one in my day? But then I look back at our haircuts when we were younger. Like mullets came back into fashion when I was like 18, 19. But they're back again now as well. Mullets are a weird haircut. 35 million euros over 80 million euro. Osimhen is given what the excuses must be there. And D also says, I defend Arsenal on these streets. Let's have a barter chat one on one of the phone-ins. I have a soft spot for Arsenal, but I'm a
Blaugrana since the days of Abidal. You wanna know how I know you're waffling? Two things. Number one, you referred to we when you're talking about Arsenal. Number two, no one has ever supported a club because of Eric Abidal. That's like me saying I've been a Liverpool fan since the days of Vladimir Smitser. Stop it. Stop it. Okay, stop it.
On that though, right? And I hope you're watching Strasbourg, Steve, and you can come on and defend yourself on another show. He was very angry at Benfica last night, the same as he gets very angry about Newcastle. Sort of does the whole standards thing. And I understand it's really popular and fashionable to do it. But I need to understand when he started supporting these clubs. And not just him, people like it. And I get your standards for Newcastle could rise once new owners and new money comes in. But if you're like under 20 or 25 and under and you support Newcastle, you probably pick them when they're in the Championship. So I don't understand how anything that is happening now can be not seen in any other light other than this is beyond my wildest dreams. Same with Benfica. I just was thinking about, I want to ask him some questions about it because I'm a little bit confused, if I'm being honest. But it's not a dig. Strasbourg Steve's a great guy. I'd love to ask him some questions about it because it made me laugh last night. This comment here says Matheus Cunha is not for sale and not expected to leave Wolves in January, despite Forest and Arsenal interest. Wolves relaxed about the situation. Well, that's an update that goes completely against what a different reporter said yesterday. But we will say again, and Wolves are not going to state he's up for sale. They're going to say this. So listen, put the money down, put in the bid, make a big offer, and we'll see what happens. On tonight's games, very quickly, gents, who do you think is going to win? PSG or Man City? What are you saying?
Draw. This has draw written all over it. I'll be honest with you. I think it's
Man City. I hope I see Omar Marmoush debut now. I hope I see Omar Marmoush debut.
You're boring.
I hope I see Omar Marmoush debut. Ya Rab. Inshallah, Omar Marmoush will score today if he plays. What is okay, Hassan. Fine. Adi.
I hope an Egyptian player signs for Juventus. I hope so.
Has he been has he been officially announced by the club yet?
No.
They won't
He can't play. They won't play.
Yeah, if they haven't officially announced him, he won't play. But I think the medical was Monday. But yeah, I think City are turning a corner now. I think City are turning a corner. The football's getting better, scoring goals. So yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, I think they'll do it. I think they'll do it. What about Arsenal's game? Because the league
smash Dinamo Zagreb, bro.
You think they will?
Terry, they're gonna smash Dinamo Zagreb.
Stop it, Terry. Stop it.
They're gonna smash Dinamo Zagreb, Terry. They're gonna smash.
Have some respect. Come on, Dinamo Zagreb. They're smashing them.
Okay, I'm just asking because every other Champions League night where I've said who's winning today and I've mentioned Arsenal, it's regularly been met with a sort of it could be a tough one for Arsenal, but tonight isn't. They're going to smash them. What you're saying?
It's not a tough game, bro.
It's not a tough game at all. Dinamo Zagreb. Come on. If it was a tough game, I'd run watch long, but I'm not going to watch.
Yeah,
it's not a tough game, bro. It's not.
I don't think it is either. They should be winning. They should be winning comfortably. But I just wanted to ask in case anyone had.
You will be very surprised if Arsenal draw even, right? Like everyone.
Yeah,
I think most people would be. But every now and then, people predict, I fancy an upset, and I fancy a this, and I fancy a that, and nobody would have predicted Lille to beat Real Madrid earlier on this season. And you would say that Lille are better than Zagreb, but you wouldn't say Arsenal were as good as So I'm just asking, just in case anyone,
Egal thinks they are better than Real Madrid, so that's just to counter your argument.
Big up Egal, man. Big up Egal.
I can't quite pronounce this, but it's Straz Benfica. Yeah, that's a great name.
Straz Benfica. Benfica, Steve, yeah.
Plus, he supports Lazio. I think he supports a team in every country as well. I was thinking about it as well.
Benfica, Lazio, Munich, Steve.
I was thinking about this about him as well, and I was thinking he's picked a few that win a lot, which is cool. But imagine you pick 10 teams and they're all average. Imagine how shit your weekend would be. Imagine how bad it would be. Forza Sparta Prague, they will rise up, is what Decay says.
It's Dinamo Zagreb, you fraud.
Oh, is it?
No. That's Sparta Prague. Play Inter. So
okay, playing Inter. Yeah.
The guy. Enjoy your Thursday night playing F9s and Astana. So
there we go. Sesko versus Gyokeres tonight. Yeah, I'll have that one on as well tonight. I think. Just watching my future striker against Arsenal's future striker. It'll be nice. So
yes. Absolutely.
Listen, everyone who's tuned in, I want to say a big thank you to you, to everyone who's liked loads of super chats today, which is always, as I say, just so humbling. So thank you to all of you that have done it. To all of the trolls that watch, who literally comment nasty things every day, thank you for being here. Because remember, every time you watch one of my videos, you help me. So if you really don't like me, stop watching. Listen, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon. Peace.